Welcome to the sweet life of Stephanie J.
Hey, girl.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sorry, I dropped my iPad in the excitement. I dropped my iPad. Everyone, this is Shar from Shar QD Publishing, her publishing company in Michigan. And I'm just going to go through and read your bio real quick so we can just get into it, because I'm really excited because you share so much on your page already that this is going to be so good hearing about your steps and your new book coming out. So Shar is the CEO of QD Publishing. She drew my attention watching her share amazing tips. And that's why I wanted to come on, because she shares so many amazing tips about how to write a book, things to avoid, things to look for, how to stay motivated, so many things. I can't even go through them. Shar graduated from Michigan State University with a Bachelor's of Art in Communication. And believe it or not, even though she just finished writing a book, she's pursuing her Master's of Science in Administration with specialization in leadership at Central Michigan University, on top of writing this book at the same time. I don't know how you did that. She's a licensed insurance agent, but we will not be answering insurance questions tonight, maybe another night, of 18 years, and is now pursuing her passion, which is writing. Thank you, Shar, for being on the Sweet Life Cafe.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. I'm so excited.
Well, Shar is the definition of sweet life, because I know we've talked several times outside of this, but just about how just moving past your own challenges and your own fears, and you going into your passion. Was there a specific situation that moved you past those fears and into pursuing your passion?
Well, to be totally honest, I got tired of myself not fulfilling my life goals. I was looking around and I was seeing other people achieve their goals, and I felt like my life was at a standstill. My job, my 9-to-5 was fine, but I know that God had called me to do something more than just be an insurance agent. Throughout my career, and I talk about it in my book, throughout my career, I've done just about everything. I used to call myself Miss Jack of all trades. I sold cars. I worked in a construction company. I've done PR. I was a substitute teacher for 2 years. I've done real estate. I've been a licensed real estate agent.
Oh, right.
I've just done so many different things, and I was just feeling I had not met the highest success that I know that I was supposed to make in life. So I started to, take a close look at my life and the things that I didn't like, and I had to push past fear. I've always been a shy person. Some people don't believe it, but I'm a shy person. And I had to push past insecurity and just, do whatever I had to do to, follow my dreams.
Wow, and a lot of people, that is what stops them.
Right.
Exactly what stops them. Did you ever, because I know I was recently going through my closet, and I actually found some old journals and my old high school book. And one of my things I wrote in my high school book was that I would be helping it was children that I said at that time, and I'm actually a pediatric nurse, helping them move past obstacles. And that's exactly how I ended up in where I am right now, helping women move past obstacles. Is there something in your young life, in your teenage years, that you saw or people said about you that you knew you were a writer?
Well, you know what? I think that since I was a little girl, I always knew that I wanted to write a book. When I was in elementary school, and in my younger years, my mom used to tell us stories. She used to make up stories, and we had this keyboard, and she used to play notes on the keyboard for background noise when she told us the stories.
Oh.
So as a young person, I was always excited about storytelling, and I always loved to write. In elementary school, middle school, high school, I used to enter writing contests, and I used to win some of them. Also, I used to write for my school newspaper. So I've always been a writer, but I just stopped writing. When I got older, I stopped writing. And just living every day, I was missing writing. So, and that's another thing that pushed me to, start writing my book, because I was getting older. My hair was getting grayer. And I was like, I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing with my life, because I knew I always wanted to write a book. So I just had to push past all the obstacles and just start writing my book.
But that's what I love about you, because, that's what the Sweet Life is all about. It's like really helping women pursue that passion that was always inside of them, but all that other stuff came in life and stopped it and put it on hold. And that's exactly what you're doing. That is so great. And so this is your second book coming out. Do you want to tell them a little bit about your first book?
Sure. My first book. Now, the funny thing is, on the road to my book, Skyrocket Your Success, I started to do a survey research to ask people what their thoughts about success were. Do you feel like you're successful? What's holding you back from being successful? What are your, specifically, what are the stumbling blocks? And if you could be successful, what would success look like for you? And in doing that, I found that procrastination was the highest percentage for a stumbling block.
Wow.
Over 40% of people said they had a problem with procrastination. And I said, so let me just pull this out of the book and write about procrastination. And so that's how everything they wouldn't tell you about procrastination came to be. So in just the research, in doing the research for Skyrocket Your Success, I, said, let me kind of talk about procrastination. And that's how my first book came.
Well, tell us, I know I didn't tell you this before. Tell us a little bit about that, because I've read it, so I know what it's about. But can you tell the ladies and gentlemen on here a little bit about it?
Sure. So I would call myself, I would always wait to the last minute to do things. And in my younger years, it didn't really bother me. But as I got older, it started to cause stress and anxiety, because I would wait to the last minute and expect everything to be perfect. And in the book, I share a story about one of my last big projects in college, where I had to we had a create a product, and we had to do a marketing campaign around that product. So I created a product called Liquid Shower Gelé. At that time, that's when shower gels were popular. So I created a shower gel, and I had to create a some kind of advertisement for it. And so I waited to the last minute and crammed and did it the last minute. And then I asked my sister, I said, Kelly, what do you think about this? She's like, oh, that's really cute, but it's crooked. And I said, what? And I was on edge, first of all, because I didn't have any sleep. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no time to fix this. And we had gotten to this big argument, and it was my fault because I waited till the last minute. And waiting to the last minute causes you that anxiety and stress. And it's just the fact that you want to work in excellence, but sometimes we have our personal flaws. We keep waiting because, like, okay, I'll do it later. So basically just waiting to do things that you could do, a little bit every day, but you wait to the last minute, and then it causes you so much stress and anxiety. And I just talk about how I procrastinated on my life dreams. Because there was, like, for instance, writing a book. And another thing was traveling. I always wanted to get my passport. And so I procrastinated on that. And then when I turned 40, I was like, you know what? I've been procrastinating so much, and I want to live my life out, because, tomorrow's not promised to us. No. So I said I wanted to start accomplishing some of my goals. And so at that point is when there was a turning point for me. So I said I had to get out of my own way and start living the life that I was called to live.
Yes, yes. And it always seems like it's like those milestone birthdays that do that to us, that push us into that. And that's, I'm glad you're on here to talk about that, because there may be some women out there who aren't in their, aren't 40 yet, who are maybe in their 30s and 20s, and that they don't realize that they think they have all the time in the world, and, that I can do that later, and then life just happens, and you wake up and you're 40.
Exactly. You're here, and it's like, what have I done with my life? You've done some good things, but the things that you want to do in life, what have I done as far as accomplishing personal goals?
Because you have accomplished things. It's not like life you sat around and sat in the bedroom and did nothing, but it sounds like your passion was still hidden underneath all that stuff. And maybe that was a distraction from really doing the thing that God had called you to do. Maybe those were things that were also part of it, but now you're doing it. So that's what's most important, is that now you're doing it. So tell a few tips, maybe one or two good solid tips for people who are even thinking about writing a book? Can you share? I mean, you have tons on your
Sure.
page, but
Well, the first thing is to find out something that you love to do, something that you love, and something that people want to know about. So that's the key thing, finding the middle ground between something that you love and something that somebody else wants to know about.
okay.
And you can do that by asking people. You can ask people on your page. You can do, like I did a survey research to see if this was a popular topic. And if people are interested in knowing about it, you can ask them what specifically do they want to learn about it. So if you find something that you're interested in and somebody else wants to know about, then that's, a first thing to start the process. And then once you find out, research. You can look, Google can be your best friend. Oh my God, I found so much information on Google. When I was starting to look for information about writing a book, every now and then I Googled my name. And then the funny thing is,
Really?
some articles from high school came up.
What?
Some articles that I wrote for the Detroit Free Press, because we had a partnership with the Detroit Free Press. And so I was searching one day and I'm like, oh, wow. I pulled up some articles that I had. I'm like, wow. It's so funny because I had copies of it, but I have it packed away somewhere. And it kind of brought up old memories of when I used to write for the school newspaper. Again, Google is your best friend. And then YouTube is a gold mine.
Yes,
You can
YouTube
type anything
University.
in YouTube.
Hello, YouTube University.
Yes, you can type anything and find out how to do just about anything in YouTube. But so once you find out what your topic is, do your research, and then what you need to do is do a brain dump. Take everything that you know or heard of about this topic, put it on a piece of paper, and just flow for about, a little, maybe about a half an hour. Write down anything that you can think of when it comes to that topic. And then once you do that, the next step is to do an outline. Structure, basically find out how you want this to be structured. Just do a detailed outline and then start writing.
You make it sound so simple.
Start writing. And you know what? And the thing about it is, just saying like that sounds simple, but in the process of writing my book, I had some roadblocks. And I think that they were not necessarily just because I couldn't think of what to write about, but sometimes they are mental roadblocks because you start reliving and rehashing some of the things that you went through, and it sometimes causes you to rethink and overthink. So yeah, I thought the way I was hearing everybody talk about writing a book, I'm like, oh, that's so easy. But you can get caught up in the little details. Like recently on my second book, I was trying to decide if I need to copyright my book before or after I publish it. Because the first book, I actually ordered the copyright after I published it. But the second one, I was kind of like, I think I'm going to copyright it before. Because, how you send it out to different, you may send it to somebody to format it.
So I don't know any of this. So what you're saying is all news to me. I
know. So copywriting your book, basically what you're doing is making a legal record of your work of art, so that if somebody were to steal it, you have it on file that it is a legal work and it came from you. So it's to protect yourself, so somebody won't steal your work. After all your hard work, you want to protect your work of art. So ordering a copyright from copyright.gov will protect you in the court of law. People say you can do an old man's copyright, mail it to yourself. That does not stand up in the court of law. You have to actually legally go to copyright.gov and register your work of art. So if somebody were to steal it, you have proof that it was your work.
Does it matter what size the book is if you're going to copyright it? Is there a certain number of pages that have to be copywritten, or if it's digital?
No, I don't think it matters how many pages.
Okay.
No, it doesn't matter.
And guys, if you start having questions, I'm going to try to wait till questions at the end, but if you have a question that pops in, please, someone already asked, how much is it how much is it and how long does it take to copyright?
So it depends. Now, if you're the only author and you have not taken any research from someone else, it's a $35 fee to copyright.
Oh, wow.
But if you've done, like if you're not the only author, like if you got, say if you have references in your book, then that is a standard application of $55. And I called copyright.gov about a little over a month ago, and they told me that most people only do the $35 application when indeed they need to do the $55 application because they have other references in their work. So either $35 or $55.
I remember you saying, actually, I remember you talked about that probably about a month ago on your page, and that was news to me because I thought, I mean, I would probably go with the cheaper one if that was like, you know, going to cover it, but $20 more. What about ebooks? Can you copyright an ebook?
Yes, you can. Actually, my first book was an ebook, and I'm still thinking about revamping it, and I'm going to want to add a little bit, you know, to it or whatever. But the first book was an ebook, and I did have it copywritten because it's still, you know, legally my work, and and I don't, you know, not that it's so detailed or anything like that, but it's still my work, and I want to make sure that I'm protected, you know, if somebody were to steal my work.
See, that's something a lot of us don't think about because I actually do have an ebook and I haven't had it copywritten, but I'm not going to tell anybody that because you might steal it. So I just told you, but nah, you know, maybe none of you will steal my book.
It's just like little stuff like that sometimes can get you tripped up in the process of writing a book because you don't know, you know, about, you know, copywriting, but it's always good to have your work copywritten.
And it's kind of scary. Like just thinking about the legal stuff is really, just gets me nervous. And I know it's something I have to do. I remember I read on this is what happened when I went and was doing research, and I went to your blog and I started reading one of the blog posts you wrote. And I remember, like, I always hear you talk about writing your book and I always hear the positive, but I never heard the other side of it. And it was a day when you were frustrated. You probably remember this blog post. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's really sharing, like you were at a block, you were having a writer's block. And it was good that you wrote that because then I feel like sometimes when you, like you said in the beginning, when people talk about writing a book, it sounds so simple. It sounds like, oh, I'm going to sit down. But I've tried writing like a book and I started, I walk away, I come back. But I really appreciate, and if you haven't checked out Char's blog, check that out because she has some really great resources on there also. But I like that you shared some of the challenges. What have been some of your biggest challenges in putting out this latest book?
Okay, so one of my biggest challenges with this most recent book, Skyrocket Your Success, was, this is one thing I'm gonna talk about today because I'm doing a series, 5 things to remember when you write your book. This is what I'm going to talk about. You don't have to tell everything in one book. That was a hesitation for me because with success and the stumbling blocks, I had so many things that I wanted to talk about. I had one chapter that I took that I just didn't put in there. It was called Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, talking about how some people find success later in life. Some people find success early in life. So I was like, you know what? I'll just save it for another book. It was that, and then I was going to talk about the generations of success, millennials, Generation X, and the baby boomers. So those were 2 topics that were supposed to be in this book, but it just, you know, it just wasn't coming together for me. So I said, you know what, that's another topic, another book. So that was a challenge. It was just so much that I wanted to talk about, putting it all in one book. So I had to say, you know what, I had to be okay with not putting all of that in this one book. Because I cover a lot of topics in the book. I cover, just to give you an example, definition of success. What is your definition of success? I asked, that was one of the #1 questions in my survey. People define success so many different ways. Some people define success as being happy in life, being able to spend time with their family, just accomplishing goals. Some people define success by making a lot of money, but everybody had their own personal success because success is personal. So that was really interesting, just taking the time to read people's answers about what they thought success was. And then I talk about in my book, affirmations for success. Sometimes it's good to have affirmations that you say over and over again because you have to say, first you have to think it in your mind. You have to have that positivity. You have to think of you know, something positive, and you have to keep saying it. Say it and then make it happen. And then I talk about the keys to success. Some of the things that help us become successful, being persistent. Today I read a very interesting article. It was from Forbes, and it was talking about people think that because you have a high IQ, you're going to be successful, but that's not always it. it was saying persistence and passion is what makes people successful over a high IQ or even having a top-notch college degree, business degree. So it's that persistence, keep going. Consistency and passion in what you're doing that makes you successful over someone that is just like a genius. It's just basically working hard, that hard work that you put in that makes you a success in life. It's not just going to this school, because that's what I heard when I was growing up. Go to school, get your degree, get a job, you'll be successful. And it's so much more.
We all heard that. Alicia had a question. Alicia, I'm rocking your mug today. Alicia had a question. What was the hardest part of writing your book?
The hardest part of writing my book was feeling if it was good enough. You know, like I said, I've been writing for most of my life, but, you know, it's just that you're sharing your thoughts and in your mind, like, okay, this is my book, but will people accept it? You know, if people will say, oh, that's just okay, it's okay, you know, I'm happy you wrote a book, but it's just that initial feeling of if people will think it's good, if it will help somebody, you know. That's my main goal, to help somebody, because I want to help young women in their 30s, in their 20s, who are just starting out, so they don't have to face all of these stumbling blocks that I had when I started, you know, in my pursuit of being successful.
I totally feel you. You and I are similar like that, because that a mission I have, and it's that not have people women, especially younger women, go through everything that we went through and wait. Because I know a lot of, like, for me, even hearing you say that being afraid if it was good enough, that's always been one thing that was a fear for me. Like, I did things that were comfortable, and I was really successful. Those things were really comfortable, like, you know, during being the insurance agent and me being a nurse and moving up the ranks as a nurse. But they weren't like, there was still that emptiness. There was still like something that was missing. And that was that fear to step out and do it. That was that thing, to step out and do what was really passionate. How have your support systems been? That was another question.
You know what? My support system has been pretty good. And the funny thing is, I always have great support from my family and close friends. But the most support, other than my family and friends, people that I just met, like you, like Adrian, Andrian, it's just people that I met online have been so supportive to me. And it's amazing.
Oh, gosh, I totally agree. I absolutely
agree. Because you think that it's going to come from people that you know, people that you went to school with. A lot of people don't even say anything at all. They say, oh, that's good, but you're always doing something, you know. But it's just the fact that people that you don't even know will back you up and make you feel good. Because like when I log in and then you make comments, or Adrian or something, you know, somebody from Socialites make a comment or whatever, sometimes that just brightens my day, because, you know, we just met each other online and in the group that we're in, and it's just so important to be, you know, supportive to each other. And that was it was a surprise to me, being so supported by people you really, you know, just met. So that was a surprise to me. But you know what? You can't expect to get, you know, I mean, just do what you're called to do, and you will be supported by the people that's supposed to support you. That's all I got to say about that.
And I said, when we had our planning meeting and we met on Zoom, it was like we were talking, like I knew you, and we had like worked together, and it was like talking to an old friend. It wasn't like talking to someone I've never met face to face. It was truly like talking to old friends. Right,
exactly. That's why I feel so comfortable. You know, I get nervous, like before I'm about to do something like an interview. I get nervous, but I wasn't that nervous. I'm like, I'm just talking to Stephanie. You know, that's my friend Stephanie, and you make everybody feel so warm. And you had me so excited because you were excited. So I'm like, I'm excited too. So I'm so excited for this opportunity to speak with you today and to speak with your audience. And I just want to, you know, motivate and inspire women just to live their best life. You know, you don't have to wait, you know, push past all of those negative things, because most of the stuff is mental and emotional. We just got to get past it. You know, if God gives you the desire, you have to just pursue it. because I kept ignoring
Yeah.
the call. I just kept ignoring like the extra push to do something greater. I just kept ignoring it. And then I would have problems sleeping at night. I'll be up late at night. And I knew it was because I had to do, I had to surrender to the call to do something great and something better. So this is just the beginning. I know God has so much more for me to do, but just stepping outside of the box, because I've always lived a very guarded, comfortable life. I never took a lot of risks in life, but and I regretted that, growing up, that I just lived such a sheltered and I lived in my comfort zone. So now I'm getting out of my comfort zone, even though it's scary, but I'm enjoying the journey. I can't hear you.
I think it's what happened to a lot of us, though, because we all were kind of raised under that good job, get a good job, get a good retirement, and then you'll be good. And then, but now we're in a whole new generation mindset. It's good, but when you don't have that fulfillment, now I don't think our parents ever even thought about that. They just thought about getting a good retirement, and now we're like, well, we want more than just retirement. We want to live a life that's we want a life that we love and enjoy. And like you said, younger women like now, like, because one of the things that really pushed me was being at sporting events with my kids and hearing all these mothers and women complaining and they're doing all this for their kids and they're not doing anything for themselves. And I was like, we need to do something. Like, this is not okay. Like, God didn't set us here to sit aside the fields and complain and live life until our kids were gone. Like, I don't think so. No, ma'am. Alicia has a question.
I agree.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about being an author? Ooh, good question.
Ooh, the biggest misconception about being an author is that if you write the book, everybody automatically will buy your book. You have to market your book. That's the biggest thing. And it's like, you don't want to just come on and just keep talking about your book every day, but you have to find creative ways to market, because just because you write the book doesn't mean that somebody's going to buy it, because how are they going to know about it? You have to be out there and to market your book. And so that's another thing about writing a book. Once you write a book, there are so many ways that you can monetize on writing your book. You can become a speaker. You can do workshops. You can do master classes. You can do online training programs. So you have to get the word out there that you wrote a book. Because you wrote a book, that's the hardest part, writing the book. No, not hard. The hardest part is not writing the book, is marketing. And not feeling like, oh my God, am I going to get on everybody's nerve talking about this book? So you got to kind of find creative ways to talk about your book, because you have to market it. If you don't market it, unless you're paying somebody else to market it, but if you don't market it, then that's going to be a big issue, because so many people have written good books, but they are sitting in their garage stacked up because they didn't know how to market it. So that was the biggest misconception. That
was one of the things that you talked about that I really liked. You gave, and it's on your website. I told you I got really deep into it. I meant to this too, I couldn't get out of there, but there was like a chart. It talked about self-publishing and using a publisher. I think it was on the website, if I remember. Oh yeah, correctly.
Self-publishing versus traditional publishing.
Yeah,
the differences.
Really, can you give a little bit of insight about that? Because that was really good in my eyes. Sure.
So okay, so I'm going to do an update on that, because it's self-publishing, traditional publishing, and hybrid publishing. So with Shire Detroit Publishing is going to be more like a hybrid publisher, which is in the middle between self-publishing and traditional. With self-publishing, you are publishing your book yourself. That means that you are doing, you are setting up the timeline, you are financing the book, you are doing everything. Everything is on you. The time, how long it takes to write the book, you're financing it, and you're actually doing everything. Traditional publishing is when a publishing house will publish your work and they will give you a royalty. And then I found out that with the traditional publishing, you still have to do some of the marketing. Sometimes, depending on if you're a very popular author, they may do some advertising for you, but for the most part, you're doing your advertising. And hybrid is is in between. What you do is basically help the self-published author prepare the publishing. So maybe you can offer a formatting service for them. You can offer you can offer copywriting services for them. So it's basically the hybrid person is in between. Basically, you're the go in between. You do everything for them on their behalf.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So yeah, so self-publishing, yeah.
That just gives me anxiety.
I can't, the phone keeps going in. It's going in and out. I can't hear you.
Oh my Lord.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
It is going in. Both are going in and out. I think, we're
okay.
Look, we're gonna roll with the IG here, and the information's getting out there. Yes, you're going in and out, but I can hear for the most part. You guys go ahead. If you have any more questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments. And I know you talked a lot about the book. Can you tell them a little bit more when it's coming out, how they can get it?
Sure. Okay, so right now I'm doing a pre-order for Skyrocket Your Success. It should be, the ebook will be out before the end of this month, but the actual paperback, hopefully the first or second week in April. So I'm in the process of getting it formatted right now. So yeah, that's the only thing I have to do. Okay, you said more about the book? Okay. So I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? You can? Okay, but I can't hear you. Okay, but as far as the book, I talk about everything that you need to be successful in life. You already have it in you. So all you have to do is kind of hone in. First of all, figure out what you want to do.
Oh, gosh.
Figure out what you want to do. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to figure out what you want to do. Okay, thank you. Figure out what you want to do with your life and just pursue it. Pursue it. Don't let all of these excuses stop you from living your fullest potential. Can you hear me? Okay. So I just talk about how I just push past things that you want to do. So like if you have a problem with follow-up, get an accountability partner. Somebody, and people say that with accountability partner, you should get somebody, you're maybe, associates, somebody that won't let you slide. Somebody maybe like a business associate that you are not that cool and chummy with. So when they say, okay, did you do this? So you're not saying like, girl, I'll do it tomorrow. If it's somebody that you respect, then you will, they'll kind of get on your nerves a little bit. You're like, okay, let me go ahead and do this. So get an accountability partner. And then whatever you want to do, write down the steps that it takes to accomplish that goal. Put it in writing and do something every day to get it accomplished. And don't just wait for someone else to motivate you. You have to motivate yourself to get it done because you're the one that wants to do it. So motivate yourself and just keep pushing until it's done. And once it's done, celebrate. Find some kind of way to celebrate, whether it's going to the mall, getting a dress that you wanted to get, or, getting a pedicure or getting a massage. When you accomplish a goal, find some kind of way to celebrate. Because what's a goal that's being accomplished without celebrating? You need to celebrate so that you feel good about the goal that you have to have accomplished.
I like that.
So,
thank you. Jamila, thank you. Jamila gave us a little hint on how to be heard. She gave us a little hint. So
okay.
We don't talk at the same time. So let me just ask you a question because I'm curious. Did you have so speaking of setting a goal, how I love goal setting stuff. Did you set a certain number of pages to write each day to get to your goal?
Well, the funny thing is, they always say that you should set a goal every day, but I'm kind of funny with that. The book, I probably had about maybe 6 or 7 days that I wrote. I took on a certain day, I just felt the urge to write. So I had maybe about 6 or 7 days in which I felt the urge to write, and I just went ahead and wrote. But some days I would just write little notes every day. I would put them in my cell phone. Like, I'll wake up inspired, and I would just, my cell phone was near me. I'll just put it in my notes section of my cell phone. And so I did a little bit like that every day. If I get an idea or something like that, then I would, put it in my phone. And then maybe at the end of the week, I would gather everything together. And it was like pieces of a puzzle. Then I put everything together. But it's good to write. If you can write every day for about 15 minutes, that's good. Even if it's a sentence or two, because it will add up to be, your masterpiece.
I like that. I never thought about because I do that too. I use my notes in my phone, or I have those, and at the end of the week, putting that all together, and then you actually might have like a whole, chapter or something just from putting those pieces together. That's a great tip. That is a great tip.
Thank you. Yeah, it worked well for me. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any more questions? Go ahead and put them in there while we're talking. There's been some really great questions too. I feel like a lot of mine have been answered, because I always feel like I hear people talk about writing a book. I follow a lot of authors and people have written, and just that they talk about like, oh, I have to get like 2,000 words in today, and that kind of stuff just like automatically sets me into like a tailspin. Like, what if I can't sit down and write 2,000 words that day? And what if the next day I can't? And then, I have a deadline and I can't make it. And I start getting anxiety before I even get to the book. And I'm usually pretty like but that's really scary.
Yeah, I try to do that too. And sometimes it will work. Like, okay, I'm writing 500 words today. And sometimes it's just about getting down and writing the words, even if it doesn't make sense. Just do your best, because before you send it to your editor, you're going to edit it anyway. So just sit down and just write. Just, you know what, you have to think like, okay, I'm just going to write. And don't overthink it. Just take time and write it. And whatever comes out, comes out. Do your best. If you didn't get it that day, maybe the next day you'll write 600 words. But you just have to do your best and take it step by step. And don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. I remember last year, and I wanted to be done with my book in March. So last year I took a week off of work, and I said, okay, I'm going to write my book. I couldn't think of anything to write. I just had writer's block because I put that pressure on myself. I was so mad because I said, okay, I'm not done yet. So what I started to do is I started to work on other aspects of your business, because your book is your business. I started working on advertising. I started working on like different quotes. And one of the quotes that I came up with was refocus, reposition, and reclaim your life. That ended up being my subtitle to my book. Because when I first came up with it, I'm like, oh, I like this. This is really cool. Sometimes you come up with a phrase like, oh, I like this. But it ended up being my subtitle, 10 Steps to Refocus, Reposition, and Reclaim Your Life. So just use that time to work on another aspect. Maybe you work on your synopsis for your book, which is the summary of your book. Use that time. You can work on that. Just be creative with your time. Because sometimes you want to write, but you can't. So just use that time to be creative with doing another aspect of your business.
That's a great idea. That's a really good tip. I have a couple questions here. The first one, sure. Have you had to deal with any negativity, and how did you, if so, how did you handle it?
Any negativity?
We have 45 minutes good, and we had some good information, and we got that first half. So I think we were talking about negativity. I think Alicia asked a question about dealing with any negativity and how you dealt with that. And it was getting fuzzy then. So do you want to re-answer that question?
Sure. As far as negativity, I just ignored it. And I knew it was a distraction. If somebody was negative about it, I just ignored it, because I knew I had to finish. I knew what I had to do, and I just ignored it. Just like, when you're doing something, somebody's always going to have something negative to say. But I knew that this is something that I wanted to do. So, or anything that, when it comes to negativity, I just kind of ignore it. It does bother you. So you just have to get refocused and know what you're doing, and know the reason that you're doing it, and just keep going, because it's always going to be somebody negative. They're going to say something negative to kind of distract you, to kind of make you feel like, what are you doing? Who wants to listen to you? You just have to push past it.
And that's when we need to support each other. Those of us, who are, I think that's why we all bond together, because we're all in that area where we're pursuing something that we've never done before. And we have that
Right.
bond together that is we're all doing. So it's like we have that positive support. And that's why I kind of like having the women online, because a lot of people in my regular life don't understand, you do
Right.
what? Like, what is life
Right.
coaching, or why do you go on Instagram? Why do you write this stuff? And so it's great to have, the negative people come, but then you can come back to the people who really support you and love you. And Alicia had a question, and I want to make sure there it is. Do you prefer writing in the first or the third person? That was the question.
That's a really good question.
I can never stay in one person, so that's a good question.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a little bit tricky. I think depends on what you're doing. I think for me, like 50-50. I think it's 50-50 writing in first or third person, because it depends on what I'm talking about. I want to add something else about negativity. I think it's so important, like you said, when you have somebody to talk to, about when you go through different things. If you have somebody to talk to about somebody, if somebody's being negative, if you share that with somebody and they can kind of help you work through it, because sometimes it depends on who it is. Sometimes that really stings, and you need to talk about it with somebody instead of hold it all inside, because I have a problem with holding stuff inside, and then at the last minute, either I just ignore the person altogether or I blow up. So it's good to talk about those things, especially when somebody's being negative. It's good to, have a listening ear and just talk to somebody so that they can kind of help you work through it and get over it.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have the supports around you. You absolutely have to have people who know what you're doing and appreciate and love you, even if your book, no matter if your book's written about furniture polish, that they're like, girl, you did it. That's great. Keep going. And, just keep the negative people out. And so can you explain a little bit about writing in first and third person? Because those of us that haven't, had English in a little bit.
Okay. So writing in first person is like I think that you should do this. When you're saying I, it's like the first person you're writing, and you say I a lot. Third person is like they or you should do this. But first is like if you're saying I a lot. So with like maybe memoirs or like self-help books, when you talk about what happened, how you went, overcame something, you're gonna say, because when I went through this, this happened.
Okay.
And then when you give advice, you're gonna say they or you should, and that's like third person. So it's it can go back and forth. And it can get confusing, and that's when your editor comes into play. Because when you write, and this is another thing, some people say, I wrote a book and I did it all myself, because you can actually write a book for free if you do everything yourself. But if you want your book to be of substance, unless you are, some people can probably do it, but I know I need an editor, because sometimes you're looking at something and you're thinking it's saying one thing, but if somebody else reads it, it's saying something else. So that's why it's so important to get an editor. You need second eyes, some fresh eyes to look at your work. Because in your mind, you may be thinking like, okay, this is what it's saying, but it may be saying something else to somebody else. So your editor can get everything on track to make sure that it's readable.
Do you have anywhere on your website or on your page that you write down like every person? Because just thinking about an editor, like I always write things and then in my head, they make so much sense in my head. They make so much sense when I write them on paper. And then when someone else reads it, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, but don't you understand?
Right.
Is that like something that comes with publishing when you get an editor, or is that something you have to pursue on your own?
Well, if you have a publishing package, typically, depending, because you can get some things a la carte. Maybe you just need formatting, or maybe you just, if you want to get an entire publishing package, that typically includes an editor too. Okay. I think that, because it depends on if you're doing piecework or if you have somebody, all you're doing is writing it and you're handing it over to the publishing company. A lot of times, depending on the package that you have, the editing is included with the package.
Okay. Lisa, our Andrea asked a question. What's the difference between the editor and a proofreader, or is there a difference?
It just depends, because sometimes the editor will, have more than one person. The editor sometimes does the editing, because there's like copy editing and developmental editing when they need to develop more of your story. Copy editing is when they need to go in and find, the errors, and proofreading is like spelling errors and grammatical errors and things like that. Sometimes the editor does them all. Sometimes the editor just does the copy editing and just developmental editing, and they may have someone else to do a proofread, just, for a third set of eyes. Because I know on my book, I had my editor did all the major things, and then there was a proofreader that came behind her. So I think they did like 3 different phases of editing.
Oh my gosh.
So it just depends. It can get kind of deep with the editing.
Yeah.
The first time I submitted something to an editor, I was like, oh, okay.
That's, I guess you gotta get thick skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to, you know what? Yeah, and I was so happy that I had somebody to help me to catch everything. At first I was like, oh, wow, red, all this red. But it helps you become a better writer. Yeah. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. No, knowing that. Well, Shar, this has been so good. Like, I don't want to, like, this has been good, and the information has gotten out. Have you guys enjoyed this? Give Shar some high fives, some stars, some hearts. Just let her know how much you appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I could go on forever asking questions. As a matter of fact, I might be sitting there having you, we're writing the book while we're sitting here talking. So I can't hold you all night, because now I'm just thinking, I have a lot to learn about writing a book. Because like you said in the beginning, some people say, oh, I'm just going to write a book, and it sounds simple. And it's a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work.
Everyone's saying, so good. Nice job, Shar. Yes, we are proud of you. You're inspiring all of us. That's a hand claps.
Oh,
Tell us
thank
where
you.
they can find you to get more information, and where we can find the links. Actually, I'm going to get the link from you, because I'm going to put Shar's link to her pre-order in my bio for the next 24 hours. So you can go you can tell them where they can find you.
Sure. You can go to bit.ly/Q like Quashar, D like Detroit, P publishing. QDP, skyrocket your success. I'm going to repeat it again. So bit.ly/Q like Queen, D like Detroit, P like publishing, skyrocket your success.
I'm going to try to type it in if I can. Rocket your. Okay.
Yep. So it's just the bit.ly/QDP. So Quashar Detroit Publishing, skyrocket your success.
Put it in there right. I think it's right. But the link I'll get the link from Shar, and I'll put it in my bio. You can also go to her page at QD Publishing, where you can find the link to it there. You can also find the link to her. If you get a chance, check out her. I'm just going to say this because I really got sucked in to her blog and the website. And I couldn't get out because there was so much good stuff there. Also, if you just go over to QD Publishing, you can get a wealth of information just going to her feed. So what I just want to ask you as a closing question, I ask everybody, what is feeding your soul? What's inspiring you? What are you reading? What are you listening to keep you motivated?
Sure. You know what? Lately, I've been listening to people that I am associated with on Instagram. I listen to you, Stephanie. You motivate me a lot. I listen to Tori Torres. I listen to Andrian. I listen to Jamila R. She does PR. I love PR too. That's one of my loves too. I listen to her. I listen to Jasmine Womack. She's a publisher in Atlanta. I just went to a course called Speak for Success. So I did that in February, and we had a one-day intensive in Atlanta. So it's just talking about the process of being a speaker, basically how to present yourself as a professional speaker. So I just did that course within the last 10 days. So
Yeah, you
I'm
just did
always
last weekend, didn't you? Wasn't that like last
yep
weekend or
last
weekend before
weekend.
that? Yeah.
Yep, last weekend. So I'm just looking at the people that are in my circle, listening to them, and just taking something from everybody. And I'm reading articles. I'm just like learning. I'm just in the process of learning. I'm reading articles from Forbes. I read articles from Success Magazine. I listen to daily affirmations online on YouTube. I'm reading my word. I'm listening to inspirational praise and worship music. I listen to, music to get me hyped. So I'm just taking in everything that's around me, and I have to take time to read, to find some personal time to read. But these last 6 months, I've been so ingrained in trying to get this book done and trying to build, my brand. And I'm just taking in so much. It's just a lot going on right now.
Well, just talk about tonight episode. I think we all learned about, and you didn't even, I mean, this has only been 45 hours of learning. I can see why the last 6 months have been crazy. So I hope this has motivated someone to, not scare anybody. I'm a little scared, but I feel like if, it's possible, I just need to learn the steps. It was really awesome. Andrea said really awesome, really good interview. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining us. But I feel like that it's just, you taught me that there's steps to it. And I appreciate that. And to just think more about putting it all into perspective, like knowing everything. And I teach this in a class I have coming up, knowing everything that it's going to cost you to write the book, knowing that you need an editor and a proofreader, knowing that you should think about publishing, self-publishing, or hybrid, or traditional, So those are all the things that I never thought about in advance of, like, those are the things in copywriting, and the things we don't like to think about. We like the sexy part. I'm an author. That's sexy. That's hot. Like I wrote a book, it's hot. I had to go wait for my copyright. It's not hot. That's like, that's stressful. But thank you so much for everything you taught. And they said, thanks, guys. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Someone said, Shar, I needed this. I needed this. Like, this was really good. I really, really appreciate you coming on. This has been so good. You guys, make sure you go to either Shar Cutie Publishing or go to my link in the bio tonight. I'll put Shar's link in there. I'll be there for 24 hours. So if you don't know how to find her, you can come right here and get her book pre-order. I got to still get mine, so I'm definitely going to be getting mine. There's a pre-order.
I want to say something.
Yes, please.
I feel like I owe you all something because I didn't want to just spill this information. I don't want anybody to be confused. That's just me. So within the next month or so, I want to get together a webinar so we can go over some of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get together a free webinar so that we can go over some of this stuff. We'll do self-publishing 101, and it'll be the first session. We'll do a group, a few webinars. So I'm going to try to work on that and get that done because I don't want to leave. I hate leaving a room feeling like I just threw a ball in there and I just didn't give a full kind of thing. So I want to go over some things and get in depth with some things so that if you want to write a book, we can kind of start there together from square one.
I love that. Please keep us posted. And if once you put it on there, then I'll bring it back over here and make sure that this community over here knows. Anyone who's not following you knows too, because I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much. That's going to be so good. Shar, thank you so much. This has been so good. I know we only had an hour and you threw a lot at us, but it really actually got me inspired. But it made me also think that I got to be real about this too and get my mindset together to write this book I want to write. So I'm really motivated and I'm really looking forward to the webinar so I can really have the real steps. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming in and joining us and coming back in and joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a highlight of my week. I was so excited. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, Stephanie, for inviting me to come to your sweet life.
Yes. Keep reaching for your sweetest life, guys. Thank you so much for coming. And don't forget, keep reaching for your sweetest life. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Bye, Shar. Thank you so much.